Hi, I'm Joshua Crudup. Welcome to my storybook. We had a new season of my show on Well, and this is that book called Little While. I'm going to be reading the first chapter and the second chapter in this book. This is part one on Joshua Crudup's My Storybook. Here's what I'm going to read right now that the boy who grew up as a kid playing baseball. He loves his team and he loves to win. So I'm going to read this book on chapter 1 and chapter 2 in this book. Chapter 1 3 seconds. Little Rhino stepped out to home plate. He gripped it in the bat tight. The breeze in the treetops sounded like the crowd at a Major League Baseball game. He amazes that the bases were loaded. Hits this one off out of the park. He told himself, Rhino glaring at the pitcher. Here came the ball, with a hard, steady swing. Rhino connected. The smack of the bat against the ball sent a thrill through his body. Nice hit, says Grandpa James with a smile. Rhino smiled back. He dropped the plastic bat and watched as the ball flew over the tower hedge. He hit it out of the backyard. Rhino had never hit one that far before. Grandpa pitches to Rhino every day after Rhino's homework was done. Books first, baseball second was the rule in their house. Rhino always wear home some dull gray hats, nat, and did his work. Then he changes into shorts and an oversized jersey, grabbing his bat and glove, and met Grandpa in the yard. Joe really hitting them now. Rhino. Grandpa said Rhino's real name was Ryan, but everyone except his sisters losing his nickname. Better get that ball before it rolls all the way to Main Street. Rhino laughed. He knew the ball hadn't gone that far. It was just a plastic one. Not like the real MLB baseball they lose for playing catch. He hit with a plastic one because a real one might break a window. That would be bad. While trotting out the yard, he stopped cold when he saw Dylan on the other side of the street. Dylan was tall and thin and always looked mean. He was holding Ronald's ball. Looking for this? Dylan said with a sneer. Come and get it, Whip. Ronald grumped. Dylan was the meanest kid in third grade. He teases everyone and often got into fights. Dylan is tough, but he's not. Ronald Sticker said. Grandpa James would always point to his head and said, Your thinking is there to think the things you can't say out loud. Still, Dylan was bigger than Ronald. He was always sneering, his glasses sitting crooked on his face, and his stiff blonde hair stood up on his head, making him look even taller. Come on over, Dylan said. Come get your baby ball. Ronald looked back. They left in Hellas blocking Grandpa's view. Ronald couldn't return to the backyard without the ball. He swallowed hard and walked across the street. Ronald reached for the ball. Dylan held out. his hand, then pulled it away. Waddle wished again. Dylan twisted and waved the ball over his head. Giving me the ball, Waddle said. Inside his head, his thinker added, "You big Billy." Dylan held the ball out again. "Take it," he said. Waddle put his hand out. Waddle put his hand on the ball. Dylan wouldn't let go. "Let me have it," Waddle said. "This is why you have zero friends." Dylan, he thought, "You're nothing but a big Martin Billy. Just take it," Dylan said, but he gripped the ball harder. Waddle followed and squashing his brown eyes. He pulled the ball, but Dylan just laughed. He was stronger than Waddle. Waddle heard Grandpa's voice from the door. "Waddle," he said, "is everything all right?" Dylan looked surprised when he heard Waddle's grandfather. He linked the ball away, then threw it at Waddle. He hit Waddle's chest and fell to the street. Waddle scooping it up. Dylan was walking away fast. Waddle had never seen Dylan back down from something before. He didn't look back. Waddle was stepping into the lawn. Grandpa James had come closer to the herds. He raised his bushy eyebrows, but he didn't say anything. Waddle felt shaky. He didn't like uncomfortable situations. If Grandpa hadn't been there, Dylan might have started a fight, or he might have kicked the ball. "Ready to hit some more?" Grandpa said. He grabbed an imagination bat, flexing his own muscles and making a powerful swing. Grandpa has always been very fit and athletic. Waddle slowly walked back over to Grandpa. "I think I had enough for today," he said softly. "Really?" Grandpa asked. "Usually, want to until it gets dark out." Waddle shrugged. "I guess I'm tired." He felt embarrassing because Dylan had picked on him and Waddle didn't get a chance to stand up for himself. He had let his thinker do all his arguing, and then his grandfather showed up. Grandpa James probably heard the whole thing. Grandpa put his hand on Waddle's shoulder. 3 seconds, he said. Grandpa had taught Waddle the 3-second rule. When you're angry or feeling bad about yourself, take 3 seconds to be upset. Then remember how great you are. Waddle let his shoulders drop. He blew out his breath. "Let's do some throwing," Grandpa said. He picked up a hard ball and watched Waddle grab his gloves off the lawn. "Sounds good," Waddle said. After a few throws, he felt better. Grandpa tossed the ball high in the air. Pop flies like those were the hardest ones for Waddle to catch. The deadline was failing. Waddle set him up under the bar and watched as it reached its highest point. The ball seemed to hang in midair for a second, then dropped. Waddle made the catch. "Nice one," Grandpa said. Last month, when they started practicing baseball, Waddle almost never caught a pop fly. Now he grabbed them every time. "You made a lot of progress," Grandpa said. Everything takes time and practice." Catching popping ups, hitting the ball. Waddle nodded. Then he remembered the class with Dylan. He stood towards the house and replayed the conflict. "I should have told him to get lost," he thought. "Everything takes time." "Little while," Grandpa said again. even dealing with a bully. Chapter 2. Dinosaurs and Pizza for Lunch. Little Rhino was hungry. He glanced at the clock on the wall of the classroom. It would be lunchtime soon. Ronald usually brought his own lunch, but Friday was pizza day. Grandpa James had given him money to buy 3 slices. All right, class, says Miss Imberger. Time to line up. Ronald and his friends, coping quickly, went to the front of the room. Brian and Cooper, you're always first, Miss Imberger said with a laugh. We're always we're always the hungriest, says Cooper, and the fastest, adding Ronald. They hurried to the cafeteria. Cheesy pizza today, says Ronald. My most favorite thing in the entire world. Cooper handed a lunch tray to Ronald. Both boys could eat a lot of pizza even though Cooper was taller. They were both strong and quick. It was an even match when they played one-on-one base basketball or had a race. Ronald turning his head back and looked at deep breath of pizza aroma. Let's eat with a new group today, he said. Some kids from another class talk about dinosaurs at once. They asked me to join them. Dinosaurs and baseball were Warner's favorite topics, but he liked learning all kinds of new facts, like how much an emplacement weighs or how far the moon is from the earth. Warner usually made friends easier. Cooper was shy, but he and Ronald always got along. Cooper seemed unsure about joining the new group. We can talk about dinosaurs by ourselves, he said. This would be more fun, Ronald said. You'll see. Ronald took a slice of pizza and a carton of milk. Then he saw Dylan getting in the line. Ronald hurried to pay, but got away from the lunch line and glanced back to make sure Dylan wasn't following him. Ronald saw the kids in the dinosaur group waving toward him. He looked around for Cooper and saw him standing in the middle of the cafeteria. Cooper, Ronald called, over here. There were only 2 seats left at the table. Ronald set down his tray. Cooper slowly walked over and sat down in the last empty seat. Ronald looked at his friend and then at the rest of the table. The other kids were talking about T. Rex. The next girl to him, nodding around with her at her elbow. Hi, she said. I'm Bella. She had a dark ponytail and red hairband. Ronald smiled. He was a little unsure about joining the group too. He felt like a feeling of butterflies was flying around his stomach. I'm Ryan, he said to Bella, but call me Ronald. T. Rex was as long as a school bus, said a boy with curly red hair. Longer than that, said a girl in a purple sweatshirt. No, it wasn't, said the boy. It was 40 feet long. Ronald knew that was true. T. Rex could eat a terracotta top in just a few bites, he said. Ronald took a big bite of his pizza slice. Just like that, he added, even though his mouth was full and as strong the cheese was hanging off his chin. They eat sausages, too, says the red-handed boy. Ronald knew that wasn't right. T. Rex had lived millions of years before the disastrous. Ronald started to speak, but stopped. He didn't want to have an argument on his first day with the new group. He took a sip of milk instead, barely nudging him again. "Not the strawberries, right?" she whispered. Ronald shook his head gently and smiled. Bella spoke up. "Sausages didn't live at the same time as T-Rex." "They didn't?" asked the boy. Bella shook her head. "Nope." The boy shrugged. He started talking about how short T-Rex arm was. After lunch, Ronald put his hand on Cooper's shoulder. Ronald put his hand on Cooper's shoulder. "That was fun," he said. "Nice group, huh?" Cooper nodded. "Join in more next time," Ronald said. "You know as much about dinosaurs as any of us." "I'll try," Cooper said. They walked past Dylan's lunch table. "Hey, baby ball," Dylan said. Ronald ignored him. He felt like calling Dylan scary pants for the way he left so quickly when Grandpa James came over. But he knew that wouldn't help anything. Dylan was a bully. What was that about? Cooper asked as they entered their classroom. "Dylan was just looking for trouble," Ronald said. "He's always seen something mean." "That's for sure," Cooper said. "I'm glad he's not in our class." There were a few minutes until the bar. There were a few minutes until the bell for the next period. Ronald looked through his desk until he found his dinosaur book. He checked some facts about T-Rex. Most of what the other kids had said was correct. Ronald knew a lot more, too. Ronald turned to Cooper. He sat behind him. He knew that Cooper could have a lot to say about sports or music or almost anything else when they were alone. But Cooper stayed shy and quiet around with most other kids. "I know how that can be," Ronald Stinker said. He could talk all day with Cooper or with Grandpa James or with his older brother CJ, but his words didn't always come out easy. Like when he had to deal with Dylan. He showed his dinosaur book to Cooper so he could learn some new facts that could help Cooper to show what he knew at lunchtime. Cooper just needs some practice in talking to other kids. Maybe Ronald needs practice too, so he'll be ready for next time. Dylan tried to bully him. He wasn't afraid of Dylan, but he always seemed to be tougher around him. Ronald needed his thinker to tell him what to say. That's could be the end of this book called Little Rhino, Part 1. Part 2 will be for tomorrow's book, when I come home for work. That's the book for this day for this Part 1. I will be reading Chapter 3 and 4 for Little Rhino book for tomorrow. Until then, have a great time and God bless. See you soon.